Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate this opportunity very much to speak to a very important motion. First off, I would like to split my time with the honourable member from Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill. Before I start, Madam Speaker, I'm going to start with a story. And the reason I'm starting with a story is this is possibility thinking. This is possibility thinking 101, and what can be done when we bring all parties together. So, for about a month and a half right before Christmas, our office worked tirelessly for a couple that was separated. The gentleman was in Michigan, the woman lived here in my riding. And we worked very well with the minister's office, with the land border controls on both sides. And the end of the story goes like this. On Christmas Eve, our office was still working very diligently on this. And I actually spoke to a member of the minister's office. He himself was working on Christmas Eve as well. And the Speaker, on Christmas Day, at 2:37 in the afternoon, we received a text that the woman and man were united. Why do I bring that up? Because we are facing, quite frankly, to be so bold to say, World War III. And what got those people united and together, Madam Speaker, was the efforts of all. And I believe that this is absolutely vital that we keep that in the forefront and look at the possibilities as opposed to the negatives. And so to go on to my speech, Madam Speaker, as always, it is an honor to speak to the very importance of this motion to create a special committee to study the economic impact of the Canada-U.S. relations. My riding of Essex neighbors the busiest international border in North America. Thus, I am well aware of the importance of getting this right. In fact, a new international bridge is currently being built to support this infrastructure. As previously had the honor of being the Deputy Shadow Minister for Canada-U.S. relations, I understand the importance of being a strong partner in working with our close ally, friend, and neighbor, the United States of America. Further, as a former committee member of the International Trade Committee, and having been part of the passing of the CUSMA agreement, today's motion to create a committee is vital. Speaker, solid relationships only work when there is a strong communication and open, honest dialogue. So much is at stake, Speaker, and now more than ever is when we need to work shoulder to shoulder with our neighbor and get this right. Speaker, so much of what this House has been speaking about and will continue to speak about, studying in committee and looking to find solutions, can be tied directly back to Canada-U.S. relations. Vaccines, Line 5, XL Keystone Pipeline, steel and aluminum tariffs, softwood lumber agreements or lack thereof, and the list goes on. This committee will provide for a win-win for both countries. This is not a one-size-takes-all. However, Madam Speaker, this committee will create a foundation, a plan for recovery for all Canadians in each province and territory from coast to coast to coast. The work of this committee will be an opportunity to not only save jobs, but also create jobs. Good paying union jobs that sustain our economy and put food on the table of Canadian families. It has been stated, again, that we are in World War III. And although we can't physically see our enemy called COVID-19, we are nonetheless at war. Now is the time to work closely with our closest ally on every front. Having worked in the United States myself for a number of years, and having been part of an international company, I witnessed how integrated our economies are. Both economies rely heavily on each other. The automotive sector and the supply chains that go along with it are a solid example of this. However, Speaker, COVID-19 has brought many obstacles to this. One example would be our local mold makers. I've spoke with them on numerous occasions. And the issue that they're having now is that they're losing contracts to the United States. And the reason is because of COVID-19. They can't get their inspectors on their shop floors to see their product. These types of discussions at committee, we can find solutions for. But to lose contracts, millions and millions and millions of dollars for Canadians is not acceptable. We need to study this. My riding of Essex has been called a microcosm of not only Canada, but North America. Basically, if you can find it in Essex, you can probably find it in Canada. And just like our relationship with the United States is unique on the world stage, so too are our economies uniquely aligned. Essex, like Canada and the United States, has so much to offer. But bringing these opportunities are only possible when all parties work together. Canada can't afford to be a junior partner at the table. We have an economy dictated, and have our economy dictated by the stroke of a pen. We can no longer sit idle without a solid, well-executed plan and be blindsided at the 11th hour once again. Creating this committee with members from all parties, collectively working for the common goal, a strong economy, secure jobs, a plan for recovery, and a strong Canada is what is needed most today. Studying the impacts of COVID-19 will give Canada the tools it needs to have a solid negotiations with our U.S. counterparts. We can no longer afford to do nothing. Madam Speaker, budgets don't balance themselves, vaccines won't deliver themselves, and our economy won't rebuild itself. The time to plan to secure our future is now. Has been stated on a number of occasions, $1.5 billion per day of trade between these two fantastic countries. What's possible? How much higher could that be? How much more stake could Canada have in the game? At a time when our countries need to be focused on getting people back to work and restoring our ways of life post-COVID-19, this committee will get answers for Canadians and fight to secure everyone's future. We must begin planning now, today, to reopen and rebuild our economy and get all Canadians back to work. This is about the future. This is about a plan. This is about bringing the greatest minds of all colors, all parties, together to ensure, once and for all, Canada is a strong partner with the United States of America and is the highest on the international stage. And lastly, Madam Speaker, I would leave you with this. I'm sure that no member in this House would disagree that the Special Committee on Canada-China relations would be more important than a special committee on Canada-US relations. Canadians deserve nothing less. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Full member for Kingston and the Islands.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank my colleague for his intervention today. You know, the reality is that the relationship between Canada and the United States when it comes to trade is worth over $2 billion a day. Never have we had another partner in the world that we've relied on so much for trading. And, you know, I think that the Liberals and the Conservatives can see eye to eye on this particular, the need for this particular committee, notwithstanding the fact that some of the other committees that are out there can handle some of this work, but this is a unique relationship, so it needs this. But yet, you know, we're hearing from, you know, other members of other parties suggesting that the only way that we can successfully have trade is if we get everything that we want. Would this member agree that a successful trade agreement is one that comes to based on compromise of understanding that that overall both sides experience more, but both sides will have to give some concessions in some places?
Member for Essex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Through you to the honourable member, thank you very much for the question. A long time ago, it was said to me that it's only a good deal if it's a good deal on both sides. And that is kind of business 101. So, yes, would I agree that there needs to be concessions on both sides? Would I agree that that our countries need to be aligned at every step of the way? Absolutely. I totally agree with that. But it's also vital, Madam Speaker, that Canada gets its fair share and that Canada comes out as a leader at the end of COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Questions et commentaires. Questions and comments. The honourable member for Edmonton Strathcona.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to thank my colleague for his intervention. Him and I have had lots of conversations together over the last several months, and I appreciate his interventions in this House. As he will know, and as is of great importance to me, is the protections of workers in Alberta. And we know that Albertans have really suffered disproportionate with job losses and are feeling incredible anxiety during the pandemic and as we come out of the pandemic. And we know that we want to get help to workers. We need to support them. We need to support their families. And one of the things that I'm concerned about is the subsidies, the money that goes to oil and gas companies that doesn't go towards jobs for workers, but rather towards supporting the CEOs or shareholders. And we know that the Biden administration has ordered all federal agencies to eliminate federal fossil fuel subsidies. I'm just wondering if the member would be in favor of making sure that there are no subsidies that are going to oil and gas companies in Canada, and that, in fact, those dollars are going to support jobs and workers for people in Alberta.
The honourable member for Essex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much to the honourable member. And yes, we have spoke at length at a certain amount of occasions, and I always appreciate the open dialogue. I guess to your point, with regard to supporting the workers, another thing I didn't have enough time in my speech I was going to speak to specifically was through this committee. This turns the page on the negative, and the quicker we can do that, the quicker, hopefully, the lack of mental health will be affecting not only our families but our workers. It is absolutely vital that we get them back to work, we get food on the table of all Canadians, and ensure that we again turn the page on mental health. I'm always in support of workers on every level. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the member for his comments. I'm a member of Parliament from British Columbia, and our softwood lumber industry has been really heavily impacted. Thousands of jobs have been lost. The mills have been closed everywhere, including a 100-year-old mill, which is actually high-tech in my riding of Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge. But really, there's been barely a whimper from the Liberal government. They talk about, well, we've had conversations. Well, I think conversations are good, but sometimes you got to fight. You got to fight for this country. And they boast about a wonderful job they've done, but the fact on the ground are quite different. We're seeing jobs lost in softwood lumber, the energy sector, in aluminum. My question is this to the member. Do you agree that this bipartisan committee could add some real value to our Canada-United States relations? Thank you.
Less than 10 seconds for an answer from the honourable member from Essex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Through you to my honourable member, thank you for the question. The answer is very simply yes.
Debate, the honourable member for Aurora